Please welcome Elvis Grbac.
All right. Can you guys hear me back there? Everybody can hear me? All right, sounds good, right? Okay, good. Yeah, don't be standing up for me. First couple things that I want to kind of get out of the way before I get into my talk. Boy, yesterday, so I drove up from Cleveland, Ohio, and I came back for the first time in, I think, 30 years, and came right past East Lansing. The last time I was there, I think we blew out Michigan State. Last night we were talking about some of the Big Ten games that I played in, and I think I have 2 losses in the Big Ten, one against Iowa at home, and in Michigan State, where the defender tripped up Dez in the end zone. Do you guys remember that? So in my mind, that's not a loss. So I have one loss in the Big Ten. I got to say, I'm pretty impressed. I've been all around the country. I've been to California, down to Florida, Boston, Chicago, giving talks. This is one of the biggest, okay? And I want to say thank you to you guys sitting in here. I have to say thank you to the Kepha group and everybody who's involved. I think there's sometimes when you have to deal with professional athletes, it's hard to get them to commit sometimes and get them to call and things like that. So I need to thank everybody who's involved. I'm extremely humbled to be here. And as I give you my talk today, I think you're gonna see a different person than what you think of and what you know of from my playing days. There's going to be some things that I'm going to share with you that are very personal to me and part of my faith life, okay? Now, I have to do this. Everywhere I've given a talk, I promised myself I would do this. Are there any veterans in the room? Are there any parents that have children who are in the armed forces? Or do you know anybody that was in the armed forces? I need you to stand up. Thank you. I do that for a number of reasons because you guys have given me an opportunity to stand up on this stage and profess my faith. Okay. And in light of what has happened in the NFL the last couple of years, I'm just going to say this. There's many guys like myself, okay, who understood when we stood up for the flag, okay, and stood up with you veterans. Extremely proud. It's an honor. It's an honor to stand up here and to be able to give you that talk because of you. Thank you. Now let me say this. If I was to draw a line up on the stage, okay, what I did for a living, okay, in the NFL, guys dedicated their lives to it. Every fiber of their body. And I'm a big guy, but I'm not very big compared to the people that I played with, okay? We stepped across this line with some stupid ball, crazy-ass shape, and you called it 7 points. And you got millions of dollars to do it. Here we have guys in this room, veterans, that crossed that line and gave their life for us. What's the logic in that? Are those guys being honored compared to somebody like me? Thank you, men. I appreciate it. Okay? I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to honor you veterans. Because there's somebody here that sacrificed his entire life for us. You've done the same. And I can't even put my mind around that you would do that for me. Okay? Now, my talk, I'd just say my journey has been unbelievable. Okay? A lot of ups and downs. Okay? And what I talk about is faith, family, and football. Now, I'm going to talk football just because that's what I did for a living. But I want you guys to understand this. Whatever that you do for a living is extremely important, okay? And I've learned through my talks that I've given is that faith should be number one. Your family will always be there. Work is always going to be there. But I'm here to say that I had that messed up. And there's probably guys in this room just like myself, okay? It's a natural tendency to happen. That work part of it becomes something that really drives you, okay? Why? Because what do you want to do? You want to provide for your family, right? Okay? But what happens to that faith life? You're a practicing Catholic like I was. Church on Sunday, and that's about it. And maybe a confession here and there, okay? We've all been there. I'm here to say that you can have all three in the correct order, meshed together correctly. There's a reason why you're here. Not because somebody invited you or because you're here with your dad. You're called here for a reason. After we're done with this day, your life should change. You are called to that. You're not called to be just good. God doesn't want you to be just a good person. No, you are a son of God. And you are called to holiness. Now, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm 100% Croatian. Any Croatians out there? Yeah. 1, 2. Couple of them. Yeah. Okay. My parents came to this country in 1968 from a communist country, Yugoslavia, at that time. My older brother and my older sister were born there. Came to this country, did not speak English, had not a penny to their name. They already had 2 kids. Okay. Come from a very staunch Roman Catholic, old school family. Whatever the church said, yes, that's what we did. Absolutely. There was no way around it. Okay? I'm very proud of that. When I talk about family, as I continue on this, it's extremely important to me. Because as the family goes, what goes? Society. Okay? My parents are, God bless them, still alive. Great people. Put 4 kids through all Catholic education all the way through high school. And then put 2 kids through college also. Myself and my younger sister earned scholarships athletically. Cleveland St. Joe's, if any of you guys know that high school, okay? Graduated from St. Joe's. St. Joe's is known for myself. Desmond Howard was my tailback. The Golick brothers, 3 of them actually. The third one's bigger than the other 2. Clark Kellogg, London Fletcher. It's a used to be a huge powerhouse in Cleveland, okay? Went to high school there. Academically, was I strong? No, absolutely not, okay? But I would say this, athletically, I was challenged to the extreme. And obviously, I had some talent and really flourished in that. Had an opportunity to go to the University of Michigan. I did get recruited by Michigan State, okay? Nick Saban was actually my recruiter. I'll just tell you a small story about that. So I was getting recruited, and I think Perlis was the head coach. I asked Nick Saban about Tony Mandrich, if he was on steroids or not. I've never seen, you ever seen him on the sidelines, like yelling and screaming at his coaches? He did that to me when I was 18 years old. in a room, just the two of us. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm not going to Michigan State, I guess. So I ended up in Michigan. Now, there's some young guys out here, right? You're here for a reason. You want to hear me talk, okay? I'm going to tell you this. When I got to Michigan, I threw the ball in high school maybe 10 times, 12 times. I had a Heisman Trophy winner in my backfield. Who's getting the ball? Dez is getting the ball, okay? So when I got to Michigan, I was on the depth chart at like 5th, 6th. Demetrius Brown was there, Michael Taylor was there. And then they had 3 kids, one from California, one from Florida, and one from Texas. Top throwers in the country. They're all sophomores. Guess who beat them out? That it. Played for Bo for 2 years, Gary Muller for 3. Unbelievable success, right? Great opportunity. Took advantage of it. Went to San Francisco. Got drafted in the last round, 1993. So the first year that they went to that salary cap. Second year there, Steve Young was a quarterback. We won a Super Bowl. I do have a Super Bowl ring, and I keep forgetting it because I always like to put it up here compared to that. And guys understand the value of that compared to a Super Bowl ring. Okay. Played with some great ones. John Taylor, Jerry Rice, Tom Rathman, Steve Young, Joe Montana. Coaches, yeah, Mike Shanahan, everybody. Bill Walsh, all those guys. Went to Kansas City for 4 years. Got into a Pro Bowl, unbelievable. Okay, my last year was in Baltimore. Been retired since 2002, long time. Okay, I have 3 kids. My oldest son, Jack, graduated from the University of Dayton. He lives in Chicago. He's a musician. That's all I have to say. You young guys, though, his band is called the Deadlicks. Okay, look them up on Spotify. Their album's out, and they just got 2 new releases coming out. And they're actually playing in the summer. They're going to do like the Summer Fests or whatever, the Lollapalooza, things like that. So, and my oldest son, Jack, has my arm. He can throw it, but he had spina bifida occulta when he was born. And if you guys know what spina bifida is, okay, it was a form of that. He had major back surgery when he was about 10 months old. You know, if you saw him walk in here right now, you wouldn't think anything of it, but he had problems for a long time from the waist down. Okay, he played basketball for a long time. He was a good athlete, but in high school, he found another passion, and that was music, which was great. I have a second son who's a junior at the College of Charleston. Great athlete, no work ethic. Go figure. Every sport that you could ever play, he was the best at it. Lacrosse, basketball, football, whatever. But he just never worked at it. My daughter, if you saw her walk in here right now, she's about 6'1", 6'2". She's a freshman at Northwestern University. She's an outside hitter. Earned herself a full ride there. She has the grades. She has the athletics. She has the work ethic. She has everything. Go figure, my daughter gets all the athletic genes. So, I've been married 25 years now, just this past February, to my high school sweetheart, Italian-Irish woman. She's a great cook, and she drinks whiskey like it's water. So, yeah, and she's got a little Romanian in her, and that gypsy side of her too, so it's a nasty combination. She's a great woman though, and I think behind every guy in here, they say, you know what, we have, that other half is better than us, right? Right, okay. So from 2002 to about 2010, I spent a lot of time with my kids. I was the guy that coached everything. I did everything with them. Because my dad, I saw my dad at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would come home at 10 o'clock at night. He worked 2 jobs. My relatives, like my grandparents, I've met maybe twice in my lifetime because they lived in Europe. So I wanted to have an opportunity to spend time with my kids. And I moved back to Cleveland so my kids could be around their grandparents. And so that span of time, I took and devoted myself to kids, okay? Now, just as a side note here, before I forget this, a lot of young guys in here, okay? So here's a guy who obviously didn't have the talent like Jerry Rice or Joe Montana or Steve Young or a Tom Brady, okay? Here's a guy who had a lot of hard work and put a lot of time and effort into it. You young guys that are sitting here thinking about what you want to do for the next 10 years, most of you guys are almost in high school, it looks like, okay? If you want it, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be athletics. If you want it, it's there to be had. It's up to you. You got to go get it. And I'll say this right now. You're sitting in this room, and if you're an athlete, there's a kid in Texas working out right now getting better than you. Just think about that. But I will give you one piece of advice. Take Christ with you. I didn't have him. I went through all that, everything that you know about me, through those college years and the pro years. That was all on my own, all effort by myself. Christ was nowhere to be seen. You guys have an opportunity. You're young enough to go get it and to have Christ with you. What does that mean? Through those ups and downs and peaks and valleys, there's a steady, constant peace through that gets you through those hard times. I wish I had that. I didn't have it. But I'm here to tell you that through my experience. Okay? Now, 2010-ish, 11, 12, somewhere in there. Here's the faith part, guys. And there's going to be some things I'm going to go back to when I was 10 years old and things that I'm experiencing now. And I've got to kind of say this before we get into it. There's some things that I've experienced in my life, and I guarantee you there's guys that have experienced Christ in their life, and it's hard to explain. I'm going to try to explain some things. Now, does that make me different than anybody else in this room? Absolutely not. Okay? There's guys here in this room that are young guys and they're older guys. They're going to understand what I'm saying, and then there's other guys who are going to say, you know what, I've never experienced that. What does that feel like? You still have an opportunity to do that, okay? To encounter Christ, truly encounter him. Not practicing it, but having a true relationship with him, okay? So 2010, 2011, I started going to daily mass. My parents are daily mass goers. And right from the get-go, I could tell there was a difference. And it was during Lent, okay? Had an opportunity in 2013, the day that Pope Francis got elected Pope. Sitting in a gym, working out. Pope Francis comes up on the screen. He gets elected. I look around and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? This is the stupidest thing I'm doing. And at that time, I was coaching quarterbacks at St. Ignatius High School too. And that really kind of changed my life too. But that was really profound for me. And I will say this, that night at Solon, St. Rita's Catholic Church in Solon, Ohio, which is the next town over, Father Larry Richards was giving a talk, the church mission. I swear that The next time I meet this guy, I'm going to punch him right in the mouth. Father Larry Richards, if you guys know him, okay, and I'm sure he's been here, right? Yeah. He's a little harsh, That night was the night of reconciliation. Ugh. So I walk into the room, I walk into church, and that church holds like 2,000, 3,000 people, jam-packed to the rafters. People stand in the back, the whole 9 yards. You walk in and they hand you a sheet. And there was my wife and a couple friends of ours. Sit down, look at the sheet. It's every sin that you could ever commit. And I'm sitting there looking at it going, check, check, check. I'm like, son of a, are you kidding me? I am sweating bullets. I'm like, no way. So I sat there for about 3 hours and listened to him talk, and I tell you what, I got beat up. He punched me in my mouth and just kicked me everywhere. And I'm telling you, people got up and started leaving because you know how he is. He's just gonna tell you like it is, and he's not gonna worry about what you think. That night, small world. This is unbelievable that I'm actually standing here and the bishop is going to be celebrating Mass up here. Bishop Okoviak was my pastor in Cleveland, okay, at St. Joan of Arc, where my kids went to school. And I only knew him for, he's not here, is he? He's a great guy once you get to know him. He really is. He's a little dry, okay, but a great man, a great holy man, I would tell you that. And there's a reason why I went to confession to him. Because after Father Larry Richards was done talking, the priests came out of everywhere. I mean, there was like 1,000 of them. I was like, oh no. So at St. Rita's, they have like these big rooms like here. And you go in there, everybody's going to confession. And I got stuck in a corner with Bishop Okoviak. And there's somebody behind me, like 10 feet from me, and there were like 50 people right behind me. I went to confession for the first time, and I don't even know. And I sat there for a good 20, 30 minutes, just bawling my eyes out. And I said to myself, never again, my life has to change, has to completely change. Growing up Catholic and knowing what Christ did on that cross for me, sacrificing his life for me, and living a life like that, no more. No more. And we were talking about this last night over dinner. There comes a point in everybody's life that you have to make a decision. It's up to you. No one's going to tell you. No one's going to say, I'm not going to tell you. No one's going to tell you. You have to make a decision. Do you believe that is the Son of God who sacrificed his life for you? And what are you going to do about it? You answered that question yourself. Now, I have to back up just a little bit, but I'll go back to where I was. You've got to remember, I've had some concussions, so I kind of forget sometimes. And I'm hoping to get that big paycheck from the NFL, but I haven't seen it yet. I got to backtrack just a little bit. When I was 10 years old, okay, I had an experience with Christ that was extremely profound, and I only knew what that meant when I talked to my spiritual director, and upon, as being an adult and being able to reflect on it, I kind of understood what that meant. 10 years old, getting ready for Easter Sunday Mass. So my household, 4 kids, crazy, the house is just going nuts trying to get ready in the morning. I get up early in the morning, get ready. There's one bathroom for 4 kids, of course. Go to my room, close the door, lay on my bed, grab the crucifix, It's above my bed. And I sat there for about 20, 30, 40 minutes, contemplating on the cross at 10 years old. Became very emotional and truly understood what Christ had done for me at 10 years old. And as an adult, reflecting on that, understanding that Christ had planted a seed within me, knowing that that seed would bear fruit at some point in my life. I think he kind of had an idea, oh, this kid's going to be this and this and this, but he's going to do greater things than he's ever done before. And my spiritual director gave me an opportunity to reflect on this. And as a professional athlete, you young guys, listen to this. We have an ability to visualize extremely positive. I could put myself in any position, any game. How do you think we played so well all the time? Because we meditated successfully, so that when we went in a game, we already won. But on reflection on that event, my spiritual director gave me advice. He goes, walk in that room, who you are today, with Christ, and see how Christ loved that kid sitting there at 10 years old. Kidding me? What an unbelievable opportunity thing to do. I'll share you with another thing, too, my spiritual director did. Upon that reflections, I had a hard time. I was trying to get rid of the Elvis Grbac, the football player, for a long time, because what I encountered later in my life, I wanted to become better, and I wanted to get rid of that. He says, no, you got to take that with you. Okay, that's part of you. Everything that you've done comes with you. He goes, can you visualize yourself still playing? I said, yeah, absolutely. Because do you visualize your senior year playing against Ohio State? I said, yeah, I can still see the grass, I can still see the players, I can still see the stadium the way it was, the gray skies, everything. He goes, look behind you. Christ was standing right there. Christ was with me the entire time. Every baptized person in this room has Christ living within them. Wherever you go, whatever you do, Christ is there with you. Through the good and the bad. Now, 2014 comes along. From 2013, after I went to confession, to 2014, I took a year, an actual year, to reflect on my entire life. In the spiritual life, they call it the purgative stage. It took me an entire year to do it. You know what I did? There's a couple of things I did. Learn what forgiveness is. Called up people that I haven't talked to, high school buddies, friends, relatives, and asked for forgiveness. I haven't talked to in 10 years. What an unbelievable grace to be able to call somebody and on the other line said, I was thinking about the same thing. Can you forgive me also? And then to sit there and say the same thing to your wife and to your kids and ask for forgiveness. The other two things I did, there's a reason why this comes with me everywhere I go. Okay? If you open this thing up, it is written all over the place. And what I did, I started with the Gospels. Why? Because I wanted to know who that was. I really wanted to put him truly in my life. The other thing I did too was I created a relationship with Mary. Who knows him better than that woman right there? You guys know that. Your mother knows you better than anybody else in this world. And your wives know your kids better than anybody else. Those are the things that I did for myself. Can you do those? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can do that. Now, so another year goes by, and I'm on this spiritual journey, going to Mass every day, confession every couple of weeks, still do that, pray the rosary, doing all this stuff, okay? 2015 comes around, and I become the lay director at our parish for a men's retreat. We got about 60 guys that show up, which is not too bad for a weekend, and the lay director kind of runs the entire weekend. And what they do is, there's a team that forms, and you do it, and what you do is you meet with the deacon, and you go through prayer, and you get yourself ready, not only for the weekend, but for that group of men. I had an experience one night, sitting there praying with my deacon, with the Bible. We always started with the Bible and prayer. He closed the book, and he started asking me a bunch of questions. He goes, how's your relationship with Christ? I said, what are you talking about? You know exactly who I am, okay, and what my relationship with Christ is like. He goes, how's your relationship with the Father? Hesitated. I'm not reconciled with the Father. Here's a kid who had everything, has everything, and never gave thanks to the one who sustains me, who created me, and who has an infinite love for me. I let him down. Absolutely let him down. I could have everything I want. Professional career, family, kids, you name it, had it. And I gave no thanks. Doesn't make any sense. That night I had an opportunity to sit in our chapel at Holy Angels in Bainbridge, Ohio. Our chapel, we have the tabernacle in there. And our deacon left, and I had the whole church to myself. I walked into that chapel, sat down, and sat there for about 10, 15, 20 minutes, praying. This is the only way I can describe this. I know what the prodigal son felt like. I know exactly what he felt like when he saw his father come running for him. I'd finally come home. Next thing I knew, I was face down in front of that tabernacle, worshiping the God of the universe. There's some things that have happened in my life that are some unbelievable experiences. And I'm here to say, all of you are capable of that. Will you have experiences like I did? I'm not going to say that, okay? But what you do have is this. You have a God that loves you with infinite love and knows you completely because he created you. He has infinite mercy for you. Now, my Lenten reflection, you know what it is? To put my mind in his mind. How can I have infinite love all the way to the point that I gave up my life for somebody else? We talked about it last night a little bit. It's almost impossible for us because of our weakness. But only through his grace, his mercy, can we truly understand that. You know, St. Paul, last night I got back to my hotel room, and Bishop Robert Barron had the Catholicism series on, and it was on these two guys. Paul, what does he preach? Christ crucified, and only Christ crucified. Here's a God of an infinite love that would sacrifice everything for us. What are we going to do in response? That's the question. That's the ultimate question. Now, you have an opportunity this morning, throughout the day, to encounter Christ and his mercy and his love. As a quarterback, and it never leaves you when you are a quarterback, it's just part of who you are, I'm challenging you. I'm challenging every man in this room to go encounter Christ. I don't care where you are in your spiritual life. I don't care if you've gone to confession last week. I don't care if you haven't been to confession in 50 years. I'm challenging you. If Christ lives within me, who do you think is speaking to you right now? Go encounter his love and his mercy and be the Son of God that you are called to be. There is nothing greater in this world that you'll ever do. I'm a standing, living, talking fact of that. And I have an opportunity. I'm getting my master's at St. Mary's Seminary in Cleveland, and I talk to the seminarians there every day. And they go, man, you play in the NFL, you play in the Super Bowl. I said, you know what? You're going to do something greater than any of us will do ever on the face of the earth. And here in this gym in Grand Rapids, Michigan, you can encounter God here. Only if you decide to. But the question is, what's in it for me? There's guys out there standing right now, they're looking at me going, you know what? What's in it for me if I do this? I would tell you this. What Christ offers you is an unbelievable peace, mercy, and love that you will never, ever experience anything in your life anywhere. But it's the pride in us, the pride that holds us back. Men, I challenge you from every age, I don't care where you're at. The fact that you can walk up this aisle in a couple hours and encounter the God of the universe through his body and blood, sacrifice for you, I hope, like St. Paul says, I hope you walk down this aisle in the correct manner. I'm hoping, praying for that. I did not come here to talk about football. I came here to give you a voice, an example of where I've been. I see men out there of every age, every talent, every occupation. But this is the one call that you have to answer today and for the rest of your life. Here is the God of the universe sacrificed his life for you. And we have men and women in this room who have a concept of it because they crossed that line and gave up their life for you. What are you going to do? I'll be praying for you. Because I know the encounter that you're going to have is the greatest encounter that you'll ever experience in your life. And what is it going to do for you? It's going to be life-changing. You will be the man and the human being that you're supposed to be, the grandfather that you're supposed to be, the father that you're supposed to be, the son that you're supposed to be, the brother that you're supposed to be, the husband that you're supposed to be, and the young son that you're supposed to be. What are you going to do? What's your answer? What is your answer? I'm going to leave with that. That was a little bit of bow coming out of me, but I think my time is up. Hey, I want to say thank you in conclusion to you guys for being here. Like I said in the beginning, there's a reason why you're here, okay? I'm only an example, okay? There's 2,000 men in this room? What a great witness it would be that we walk out through these doors, 2,000 men into this world to change it from now on, young and old. I challenge you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.